Miraidon came through yet again and won the Utrecht special event this past weekend, and we're going to deep dive and talk about just how powerful this Pokemon really is. Welcome everybody to another Pokemon VGC recap. It's me, Ketsu, and today we are looking at the Utrecht special events tournament that happened this past weekend, and just talk about some teams that I thought were really cool, and just obviously talking about the one that won it all together throughout this past weekend. If you guys enjoy this type of content, let me know by leaving a like down below and maybe hitting that subscribe button. It helps me out a ton. And if you also want to see Pokemon content live, follow us on Twitch. We stream every Thursday to Saturday, 4 PM to 8 PM UK standard time. But without further ado, let's jump into these teams, and I want to talk about a few. The first one is going into the top 16 team done by Giuseppe Masico, and this was an Ice Rider Calyrex as well as a Terrapagos team. A very slow pace, a very bulky, slow paced team. We start things off with the Porygon 2 here. Nice to see Porygon 2 actually coming back. We haven't seen Porygon 2 in a while, actually. It's been very cool. So of course we have the Eviolite to keep it as just this bulky beast that will never go down, hitting the download as well, getting an attack or special attack boost on whoever is weaker opposite to Porygon 2. We're going into Terra Flying to steer clear of those fighting types that want to hit for super effective damage. Tri Attack, Shadow Ball, Trick Room, and Recover. Of course you want Trick Room to be set up. This is like kind of the main important move here. Trick Room is just so important. Also kudos, we've got the on-screen drawing commentary here, which is going to be very cool. I can't wait to use this today. But of course you have the Tri Attack as well, that makes things really useful, especially with that stab damage, and not even to mention the Shadow Ball as well, just to hit Shadow Rider Calyrex as well, which is quite nice. I'm very interested in Porygon 2. We've not seen Porygon 2 a lot, so it's quite interesting to see come back. Next up is the leftover Terrapagos, which we've seen a bunch of times before. Of course, it has the ability Terra Shift and Terra Stellar. Can't change anything out of those. Terra Starstorm, Earth Power, Calm Mind, and Protect. Pretty much a standard stuff here for Terrapagos. We're pretty much used to seeing this by now. We have the Safety Goggles Incineroar going into Terra Bug with the Intimidate. Will-O-Wisp, Knock Off, Parting Shot, Fake Out. Standard set for Incineroar here. If you don't see Flare Blitz or anything like that, it makes a lot of sense here that you would see Will-O-Wisp. Going into the Ice Rider Calyrex as well with the Clear Amulet. Going into Terra Water, Glacial Lance, High Horsepower, Trick Room, and Protect. A lot of people have kind of switched out of going from Terra Fire into Terra Water here. I guess it's just to steer clear of things like Kyogre, keeping that resistance there as well, which is quite nice. It just helps a lot. It helps a ton here. Terra Water is just a really good defensive typing, and I can't complain. Terra Water is just the way forward for Ice Rider Calyrex. We also have the Amoonguss with the Rocky Helmet and the Terra Water as well. Spore, Rage Powder, Pollen Puff, and Protect. Again, another Pokemon that we've not seen here. Because of the things like Miraidon coming around, going with the electric terrain, you can't really use Spore that effectively, but Amoonguss is still here. We're still seeing him, and he's appearing in the top 16, which is very impressive. And of course we have the Pollen Puff as well. I've said this on multiple videos. If you're running with Pollen Puff here on Amoonguss, it is going to be a Trick Room variant. Normally when you see Amoonguss outside of Trick Room, it's going to be a Sludge Bomb, but this way you've got access to make things like Ice Rider Calyrex get a bit more HP. Pretty much everybody here to get a bit more HP, and once Trick Room is set up as well, Terrapagos, you can kind of abuse that with Terrapagos, getting Terra Shell boosted over and over again, just to make things work a little bit nicer here for Terrapagos, as well as Ice Rider Calyrex, just making sure these two will not go down. And then finally is the Cornerstone Ogerpon, going with the Ivy Cudgel, Knockoff, Follow Me, and Spiky Shield. Knockoff is also very impressive here. Again, we've got no other grass types. I would understand if we had other grass types, but Knockoff is also very interesting here. So you have things like Incineroar that also likes to run Knockoff, but then you've also got Ogerpon if you want a faster variant of Knockoff, which is quite interesting here. So a lot of this way, it's just making sure that, you know, your opponent can't get through with doing massive damage with things like Miraidon Choice Specs or things like Life Orb, or, you know, they can't heal things with things like Recover. So once it's kind of inside of Trick Room, they go ultra aggressive, but when they're outside of Trick Room, the whole goal is to make sure that you've got this whole kind of redirect thing here with the Follow Me or the Spiky Shield, and just making sure that, you know, you can kind of stall it out for as long as humanly possible, just until Trick Room gets set up again, which is quite interesting. I don't mind this team. This team is quite nice. Next up is a top 4 team done by Nikolaj Nielsen, who's done a Zamazenta Miraidon team, and again, very interesting stuff here. Not a duo that you see a lot. Normally you see, you know, Miraidon Lunala, or Miraidon, if anything, Shadow Rider Calyrex, or Zamazenta Shadow Rider Calyrex. We've not seen these two kind of slapped together here, so it was kind of interesting, and I'm kind of intrigued. This is a duo that I'm very intrigued and want to see and want to look at. So first off, we start off with the Tornadus, Cobra Cloak, Terra Water, Terra Wind, Bleak Storm, Rain Dance, Taunt. Same standard stuff here that we've seen on Tornadus, either it's Terra Water or Terra Dark. Pretty much same standard stuff here. The Sneasler with the Electric Seed Unburdened, also going into Terra Dark, Gunk Shot, Close Combat, Fake Out, Throat Chop. So going into Terra Dark makes it really useful because you change that whole ×4 weakness here from Psychic into a straight up immunity, and since you're not really hitting things with like bug type moves or fighting type moves for Sneasler, because you get resistance on those naturally, you're not really expecting to hit those with the Terra Dark that you see here. So It's very interesting to see, and the electricity makes it a lot useful, especially paired up with the Miraidon for the electric terrain. It makes things very, very useful here. This thing becomes an absolute beast of a threat when this thing comes out. It is so insane. Of course, we have the choice specs Miraidon, Terra Fairy, Electric Dip, Volt Switch, Draco Meteor, Dazzling Gleam. Can't really explain much there. It's pretty much the standard set here. Going into the Earth Luna with the Life Orb here, the Blood Moon variant. Going into Terra Normal, Blood Moon, Hyper Voice, Earth Power Protect, which is going to be your Trick Room variant here, with the aid of Farigiraf, which has Psychic, Trick Room, Protect, and Foul Play. Rocky Helmet, Terra Fire as well. Pretty solid defensive typing, if I do say so myself. It's pretty solid. Like, Terra Fire isn't exactly the main kind of defensive Terra you're looking for, but it does have its uses, which is, again, really, really nice here. And lastly is the Zamazenta, Rusted Shield, going into Terra Ghost, Protect, Iron Head, Body Press, Wide Guard. Standard moveset for Zamazenta here, but the Terra Ghost is very, very interesting. So I guess with Wide Guard, you protect yourself from Shadow Rider Calyrex, while at the same time, you're pretty much being immune to any fighting types, and it works out pretty well here, because again, you're not really getting hit with fighting types here. It works pretty well. It works pretty nicely, and I'm a fan of Terra Ghost. Terra Ghost does fit pretty nicely for the most part. Next, we have the second place team done by Lewis Markle, and this was a Zamazenta Shadow Rider Calyrex team, and this one was pretty much my favorite of the entire top cut. This was my favorite team of the entire top cut. I thought this team was absolutely fantastic. We have the Zamazenta here going into Terra Dragon, Protect, Wide Guard, Body Press, Heavy Slam. Standard set for Zamazenta here, can't really complain. We have the Rillaboom with the Assault Vest, Terra Fire. Standard set here, Woodhammer, Fake Out, Grass Glide, U-Turn. It's pretty much the peak of Rillaboom right here. The Half Flame, Ogerpon, Spiky Shield, Ivy Cudgel, Follow Me, and Grassy Glide. We've not seen Grassy Glide for a hot minute. Normally you'd see things like Woodhammer, or if anything, Horn Leech or Power Whip, but we have not seen Grassy Glide for a hot minute. This aids with Rillaboom's Grassy Terrain, meaning that you have not one, but two Pokemon that can hit priority damage with the Grassy Terrain up and active, and it is such a good counter for Miraidon as well. It is a fantastic counter, and it works really, really well. We have the Incineroar with the Rocky Helmet, Terra Bug, Fake Out, Parting Shot, Knockoff, and this time we have Helping Hand. I saw this play get done yesterday. I saw the finals match yesterday, and honestly, I was just like, why doesn't Incineroar run Helping Hand? It's very, very interesting. It is really, really, it's pretty good, especially with things like Shadow Rider Calyrex or Zamazenta that just gets off massive damage with Astral Barrage or Body Press. It does really, really well here. Like, it is quite insane seeing Helping Hand on Incineroar, and it's something that I've been implementing ever since I saw this game yesterday. And oh my gosh, I'm a fan of Helping Hand Incineroar. This is really, really good. Then we've got the Shadow Rider Calyrex with the Life Orb going in Terra Dark, Protect, Astral Barrage, Nasty Plot, and Psychic. Again, we've got the nice little bit here with Nasty Plot. You haven't seen Nasty Plot on Shadow Rider for a while now, just because it's been expected to be a bit more fast-paced with this regulation. So you've seen things like Encore, like Taunt, just like, you know, really shutting things down here. But seeing that Nasty Plot come out is very nice, because again, Nasty Plot plus Life Orb and Astral Barrage, it's just curtains for pretty much like most of the format. It is absolutely insane. You're going to need something that has like a really bulky special defense with Assault Vest to even tank like even one of these. It is absolutely insane the amount of damage you can get off with one Nasty Plot and an Astral Barrage. And then finally is the Choice Scarf, Urshifu, Terra Water, Close Combat, Surgeon Strikes, U-Turn, Aqua Jet. Same standard stuff that we've seen for Urshifu here. Can't really complain. It's done very, very well. But of course, we cannot go through this without talking about the #1 team, the winning team of Utrecht this past weekend, done by Michael Kelsch, the GOAT, the one and only, going with the Ice Rider Miraidon team. Miraidon won again. Straight back-to-back regional tournaments, Miraidon has won yet again. And this time, it's not the Lunala variant, it's more of the Ice Rider Calyrex, not Shadow Rider, it's Ice Rider this time. So we've got the Ice Rider, this time with the leftovers, Terra Water, Glacial Lance, Leech Seed, Trick Room, and Protect. Now, all of this is very, very interesting. Normally, first off, I want to talk about the leftovers. Normally, you'd see Clear Amulet just to make sure that it doesn't drop with things like Intimidate or anything like that. But this time, we see leftovers just to make sure it can get like a whole bunch of HP left as well, especially paired up with this Leech Seed. Again, another move that we're not used to seeing, which worked very, very well. Again, in the finals game, Leech Seed actually came really, really well in clutch. There was a lot of moves that that Lewis actually managed to tank from Glacial Lance, and things like, you know, Landorus and Miraidon tanked a lot, but then Leech Seed with the residual damage actually scored the KOs, which was very, very interesting. So that was a very, very good play here. And just the fact that you've got Leech Seed boosting plus the leftovers boosting, and if they really want to try and counter Miraidon's electric terrain with something like Rillaboom, you've then got, you know, grassy terrain like boosting as well. So this thing will just not go down. You have to put so much emphasis on the thing or put so much damage on the thing outright that this thing is very difficult to go down. It is absolutely insane. Next up is the Light Clay Grimmsnarl going into Terra Ghost, Spirit Break, Thunder Wave, Reflect, and Light Screen. Again, same standard stuff here. It's either Spirit Break or Foul Play with Grimmsnarl. It either or works very, very nicely here, but this time we're running with the Spirit Break. And again, like I was saying months and months ago, screens will be the way forward eventually. Like, and just shows Grimstone not only won the regional last time, but it won the regional this time, which again, absolutely insane. It's just a really good mod. It's a really good mod, and I was on this train for ages saying Lexrian and Reflect was going to be so good, and here it is winning back to back. Grimsnarl's just doing the absolute most. Next up we have the Assault Vest Incineroar going into Terra Grass, Flare Blitz, knock off U-turn, and Fake Out. So this is quite interesting here. We've not, again, something that we've not seen for a while before, which is the Assault Vest Incineroar. We have not seen Assault Vest Incineroar in a very, very long time. This is quite interesting here. So normally you'd see things like, you know, safety goggles or things like Rocky Helmet lately, but this time with the Assault Vest, it means that you could just tank a lot more here. You can tank things like other Miraidon, you can tank things like Shadow Rider Calyrex. It just works really, really nicely here for Incineroar. Flare Blitz, knock off U-turn, and Fake Out. Again, we've got another switching out strategy here for U-turn as well, which is quite nice. And the Terra Grass is also very, very interesting. Another Terra type that we've not seen Incineroar have for a very, very long time. We've not seen him have Terra Grass or Terra Ghost for a very, very long time. So seeing it come back is kind of nice as well. I kind of enjoy this. We have the Choice Band Rapid Strike Urshifu going into Terra Ghost, Surging Strike, Close Combat, U-turn, Aqua Jet, same standard stuff here if you're going for a Choice Urshifu. But the Terra Ghost is interesting, that way you're not immune to a Fake Out, so you can just get damage straight away out of the gate, which just makes things so much nicer, especially with this Choice Band. Choice Band Surging Strikes just does the absolute most of damage. It is such a threat here. We've also got the Landorus with the Life Orb, Terra Poison, again, another Terra type that we've not seen for a while here. We normally see Terra Water on him as well, so this is, again, quite interesting. Earth Power, Sludge Bomb, Taunt, and Protect. So again, this is another thing that we've not used to seeing here. So Landorus does get access to Taunt here, and normally we've seen things like Sand Storm, but in case of two measurements here that we're not running. The first thing here is that, one, Sand Storm is not 100% accurate. You need Rain to make sure it's 100% accurate, but because we're not running with any Rain team, something like Kyogre or something like Rain Dance Tornadus, we're not running that. So there is going to be a good chance that you're going to miss at least one of these times. So having something here that kind of makes sure that you're always hitting a shot. And the second thing that you need to watch out for is Wide Guard, something like Zamazenta Wide Guard or, you know, Lunala Wide Guard. Just these things that kind of like, you know, can stop Landorus straight out in his tracks and just prevent it from doing any damage, especially such a Juggernaut like this that can just hit so hard so quickly. It makes up so much time as well. But the Earth Power and the Sludge Bomb are very, very good, and the fact that you've also got Taunt as well is very, very nice. Normally you'd see Taunt on something like, I don't know, like Urshifu. You've seen it in the past. Incineroar gets access to it. You've got Prankster Taunt on Grimmsnarl, but you don't want to get countered by any of these measurements because you want damage on Urshifu. Incineroar has Assault Vest, so you want to keep, so he can't even use Taunt, and if they run Psychic Terrain, Grimmsnarl is basically useless. So Landorus kind of makes it really nice here for Taunt to be a factor, which again is just so good here. And finally, it's the Choice Specs Miraidon going Terra Fairy, Electro Drift, Draco Meteor, Dazzling Gleam, and Volt Switch. Something that we have just seen time and time again. I don't really need to explain it. Miraidon Choice Specs is like almost the peak of this Pokemon. Honestly, it is so good. But now we get on to one of my most favorite bits of these type of videos, and that is going into the most topped usage of Pokemon throughout this weekend. So for day one, we go into the Lunala and Miraidon here. Pretty much, you'd want to use the team that won the first Regulation I tournament because it was so good. It's so good. It's so dominating. 12.8% as well with these duo restricted here, and they just work so well with each other. Next up after that, we have the Miraidon Ice Rider Calyrex. Again, Miraidon's just going everywhere. Like, Miraidon is literally just everywhere right now, and it is just, it's so insane. After that, we have the Zamazenta Calyrex combination. These two, again, like we said in the last recap for the last regional a few weeks ago, these two were seen as like the ones to look out for at the start of this regulation because they won the Victory Road tournament like way back before Regulation I was legal in official regional tournaments. So everybody was of course looking out for these two and making sure that these two were the ones to watch out for. But it's still nice to see that they are still in the top 4 restricted pairings. It's still very nice to see here. So, and again, these two just work so nicely with each other. And then lastly, we have the Lunala and Miraidon mixture as well. These two again just work so well with each other. Something that I generally was not expecting to work so well together, but they do. They've got the bulk. One's got the bulk, one's got the damage. The sun makes it really useful as well. Again, if you want to try and counter it with something like a Kyogre, sorry, you've got the White God and Lunala. They just pair up really well together. It is absolutely insane how these two pair up with each other. And then going into the individual restricted mons for this past weekend, Miraidon of course is almost at 50%. Miraidon almost hit 50% of a Regulation I tournament where you are allowed double restricted. Miraidon literally almost took half of the entire event, which is absolutely insane. And on day one, Miraidon went crazy. After that is Lunala, then following shortly after that Shadow Rider Calyrex. But the one I want to talk about here is again Ho-Oh. Every time I see Ho-Oh pop up, I'm just like, wow, Ho-Oh Ho-Oh did really good. I'm still getting used to seeing Ho-Oh in like the top 8, in the top used Pokemon, in like the top cut of teams as well. It's like, it baffles me. It baffles me that like a mon that was never even considered back in the regulation beforehand, it's now in the top cuts, in the top usage. Like all of a sudden, just overnight, it was absolutely insane. But good kudos to Ho-Oh as well. Like, it was absolutely insane. I really do like to see Ho-Oh. I want to see more of Ho-Oh. And then we have to talk about the top 12 non-restricted Pokemon for day 1, and Incineroar and Urshifu coming up in the top spot here, taking on slot 1 and 2. Iron Hands falling shortly after that, but the one I want to talk about is Grimmsnarl and Ursaluna. These two, again, regulation beforehand wasn't even considered to be like in the top bracket anywhere, and now they've just rocked up in the top 4 and top 5 of most used Pokemon in day 1. Absolutely insane here. The one I also want to talk about as well is Rillaboom. You can't see it because it's behind my face cam here now, but Rillaboom going all the way down here. Normally when you see the big 3, they're normally like somewhat close to each other. They're either taking the 1, 2, and 3 slots. One of them might even be in like number 4, if anything number 5. But Rillaboom has fallen off very, very quickly, and I think it's just more so because, you know, things like Miraidon being able to shuffle out. There's been a lot more teams that can shuffle out Miraidon a lot better. Ice Rider Calyrex is popping up a lot more, and you've just got like all these other big threats that can really take out here. You see a lot of Incineroar, as we clearly see, that just make Rillaboom not as effective. It just makes things really harder for Rillaboom to kind of function and move around here. It just kind of bothers it a little bit more. And again, like we said as well, Miraidon being everywhere, being able to switch in and out here more effectively than Rillaboom, because of course Miraidon runs faster than Rillaboom. It just makes things a lot harder to maneuver here. Then of course we have Farigiraf and the Chi-Yu as well. Nice to see Chi-Yu still popping up here and there. The Floodamane again as another mon that's going down. This is more so just because of Shadow Rider Calyrex appearing a lot more. Shadow Rider Calyrex just has more bigger base speed than Floodamane, which means most times you need either Tailwind or the Sun to boost it. But it kind of contradicts, because most Shadow Rider teams have something like a Tornadus that can kind of shut things down, or, you know, just some sort of effect here that can kind of take out Floodamane. And if you're not running, whether you're running Tailwinds in most aspects as well. So yeah, Floodamane's not really showing up as much, just because there's a lot of factors that can kind of shut it down quite quickly here. Nice to see Amoonguss still popping up in day 1s, and Chiempao as well. Chiempao just about hanging on. I've not seen a lot of Chiempaos myself personally, but it's still nice to see Chiempao popping up here and there whenever we need it. And then going into day 2 of the paired restricted, Miraidon and Lunala still coming up at 22.5, which is absolutely huge. Shadow Rider Calyrex and Zamazenta popping up a lot more now. Then the Miraidon and the Ice Rider dropped in usage, which is quite interesting. And then the last one is a newcomer here, Shadow Rider Calyrex and Terapagos. So these two, again, work very, very well in unison here. Terapagos being weak to fighting types is the only thing it's weak to, and Shadow Rider Calyrex is not only immune to fighting types, but it also hits fighting types for super effective damage. Miraidon is weak to something like dark types or anything like that, but the main premise here is that you're forcing Pokemon that are originally, you know, weak to Calyrex, whether it be weak to Ghost or weak to Psychic, you force them to Terra, and then that makes Terapagos kind of go like, oh, I can abuse that now, because if you go Terra Stella into Terra Starstorm, you're hitting any terrestrialized Pokemon for super effective damage. So it's kind of like a sense of you're either working with Terapagos and making sure Calyrex kind of checks whatever fighting types want to keep Terapagos at bay, or you're working with Calyrex and then Terapagos kind of just comes in and goes like, oh, I'm going to punish you if you're going to think of working around Calyrex, which is, again, really, really nice. I'm a very big fan of these two as a duo. Not even to mention that something like Calyrex gets something like Pollen Puff, so even outside of a Trick Room, you can do Pollen Puff into a Terapagos, get Terra Shell boosted back up like we talked about earlier with the Amoonguss variant that we saw. It's a very, very nice way to make things maneuver. And again, I am a fan of these two as a duo, but Miraidon and Lunala is just proving that they are really the dominant duos. And then finally is the top 12 non-restricted Pokemon for day 2. I couldn't find the top 12 restricted day 2 Pokemon, so if anyone does find it, let me know what the results were so we can have a chat in the comments. But for the day 2 non-restricted Pokemon, Incineroar taking over half of the entire usage at 55%. Over half of every player on day 2 ran Incineroar, which is absolutely insane to me. That is nuts. We've got Urshifu racking up as well. Grimmsnarl taking up that 3rd spot there. Rillaboom coming back up in the 4th spot, where, again, like we said with the big 3, normally you see kind of, you know, one of them being at 4th place, if anything 5th. But Rillaboom kind of sliding back up to 4th place here. It just makes it a lot nicer. Nice to see that while Rillaboom isn't exactly the initial pick, it's at least consistent when it is getting picked at least. So again, very, very nice countermeasure here. Ursaluna still in the top 5 as well. We've got Iron Hands in the top 6, which is behind me here. We've got Amoonguss, the Raging Bolt. We've got Whimsicott now popping up in the top 12 non-restricted as well, just because it's got that really aggressive Encore. It's got the Tailwind. It's just a really nice Pokemon as well. I love Whimsy. Whimsy is my personal favorite fairy type of all time. I love Whimsy. I think Whimsy is just absolutely fantastic. And lastly, we have both of the main Treasures of Ruin Pokemon, Xianpao and Xiu, both being at 11.2%, just at the last little bit of the top 12. So this is a very interesting set here. It's nice to see everyone kind of popping back and forth. You're still seeing a few meta Pokemon kind of ditching in and out between day 1 and day 2. So this is very, very interesting here. But I do want to see how the meta kind of plays out. It's nice to see Grimmsnarl, you know, popping up a lot more. We're going to see a lot more of screen counterplay, or if anything, screen's getting used a lot more. It's definitely going to be a lot more of a screen-based meta game now, either working around it or working with it. And I can't lie, we're probably going to see Grimmsnarl pop up a lot more as time goes by. Just, it's really proven how dominant it is. But that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, let me know by leaving a like down below, as well as telling me what your favorite team was this past weekend, as well as telling me what geo restricted Pokemon you would like to see get used a lot more. And of course, guys, I will see you all in the next one. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you soon. Okay, bye.